seems to think that reforming capitalism is the solution to our crises. This is the position that the Sanders-Cortez faction of the Democratic Party takes, and this is the position that I took for a while. But after more closely examining history and economics, I concluded that this is not what we need. What we need is the enactment of an eco-socialist reform that gets rid of capitalism and that abolishes the class system entirely. And if you're still of the opinion that all we need is a few tweaks to capitalism to get us out of our situation, please consider these 3 facts about capitalism, which are the main reasons why I turned against it. Firstly, capitalism is built on inequality. This is an unavoidable reality about this system. Capitalism is defined as putting the means of production into the control of an elite class of private owners, and this inevitably leads to a situation where a certain section of society is being paid vastly disproportionately to the labor that they actually produce. This is most definitely not fair, and it leads into my second reason for the second reason why I turned against capitalism, which is that it inevitably leads to this elite class taking ever more power and turning society greatly unequal and despotic. History has shown that even when capitalism is reformed, it turns into a plutocracy. The New Deal was the greatest attempt to reform capitalism in history, and within a generation, the neoliberal reformists came during the 1970s and started to enact a radical, largely unfettered version of capitalism. That's the capitalism we're experiencing today. And now half the country is in or near poverty. 80% of the population is to some level in debt. And income inequality in America is historic. The situation has been similar for these capitalist Scandinavian welfare states, which enacted great attempts to curb capitalism, but because they remained capitalist, they've since deteriorated into plutocracy. In recent decades, the Scandinavian countries have been overtaken by neoliberalism, and inequality has risen within these countries. Thirdly, we can't solve climate change within the capitalist framework. It won't work. Capitalism demands endless growth, and as long as the capitalism is in place, the factors behind climate change will continue to be exacerbated, even when so-called green corporations are using certain degrees of environmentally friendly technology. They're going to continue to use fossil fuels. All of these realities about capitalism are indisputable, and I'll put some links below that further explain my positions. But my point is that as members of the progressive movement, we can't accept calls from leaders like Sanders and Cortez to simply reform capitalism. We always need to keep pushing for greater reforms towards the left, and we can't accept a situation where capitalism is reformed. We need to get rid of this system because it is killing us. Thanks.